Hi, thanks for stopping by. I would like to tell you the story today of my fourth great grandmother. Her name is Elizabeth Winter, and she went by the name Eliza. Eliza was born in September of 1818 in Indiana. She was the oldest child of David and Jenny Winter, and I've told the story about David Winter before, and if you want to dig through some of these recordings, the story of David Winter is actually quite a good one itself. Now, Eliza lived with her parents until she married a man by the name of Hiram Olmstead, and Hiram and Eliza had two children, Lucinda Jane, who is my third great grandmother, and they had a boy named William. Now, when Lucinda Jane was 2 years old, her father Hiram passed away, and that left Eliza with two small children to support. Eliza's father took William, and some friends of theirs by the name of the Shoemakers took Lucinda Jane to their home in Nauvoo, Illinois. And then Eliza went to live and work in Missouri. Now, the Shoemaker family were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and at that time the feeling was pretty strong against the church, and they were compelled to move often, and Lucinda Jane became separated and lost contact with her mother, Eliza. Then the Shoemakers immigrated to Utah. On the way across the plains to Utah, Lucinda Jane walked most of the time. She was only 8 years old. Now, Eliza is still in Missouri. She remained a widow for the next 18 years, and then she married an Englishman by the name of Thomas Weir. They went out to California and there spent several years working in gold mines outside of Sacramento. Then they sold everything they had and moved to Illinois, where they lived for another 5 years. Then back to California, and finally, having made contact again with her daughter Lucinda, in 1895, Eliza moved in with Lucinda Jane and her husband, living at that time in Smithfield in Cache Valley County, up in Cache County in Utah. And she stayed with them in their home until Thomas Weir died. Now, in March of 1906, the entire family moved to Annis, Idaho, where they bought a farm. And this is where I think the story gets kind of interesting. Grandma Eliza always had with her a large trunk that she insisted on taking with her everywhere she went. This trunk was so heavy that it took two strong men to carry it around. She insisted that it always kept locked, she had it hidden away, and she would never tell anyone what was in it. Shortly after she died, her family went to open the trunk, and they found it had already been unlocked, and nothing was left in there but a couple of old books. And at that point, the trunk was also very light. The mystery of what was in the trunk has never been solved. Many thought that it was filled with gold bricks from their time working in the gold mines in California. But at that time, it was unlawful to have large quantities of gold in your possession, and so many thought that Grandma Eliza had hidden it somewhere on the farm in Idaho. Over the years, many people have tried to find it, but none have ever had any success. Eliza died in September of 1916 in Annis, Idaho, and is buried in the Cedar Butte Cemetery, also in Annis, Idaho. She lived to be 98 years old, and pretty remarkably was able to take care of herself until the last 3 days of her life. She would take a walk every day around where she lived and gathered up kindling wood in her apron to burn the next morning. She was always described as a quiet woman. She kept to herself most of the time, usually either spending it alone in her room or outdoors, and she was described as a lonely person. Grandmother Lucinda, it's been said, could never quite forgive her mother, Grandma Eliza, for giving her away at the age of 2. She's quoted as once saying, quote, "I can give mother a home and be kind to her, but I cannot love her as a daughter should love her mother," close quote. Now, I pass no judgment. Times were very hard back then. They went through a lot of things that we'll never fully understand the whys and hows. But I will tell you this, if you're ever in Annis, Idaho, keep your eyes open because there's a treasure buried around there somewhere. Hope you have a great day. Take care.